Here to introduce Daniel Lubetzky is Hall of Fame legend Kendra Scott.
Wow, I am so glad I'm not emceeing this year. I had to do that a few years back. I know how hard that is, and you're doing a fantastic job tonight. It is such a privilege to be back on this stage to introduce an individual who embodies qualities of compassion, innovation, and unwavering commitment to bettering our world. But before I'm going to jump into Daniel's remarkable achievements, because we could be here all night listening to them truly, I want to share with you how I personally come to know Daniel. You see, Daniel and his beautiful wife, Michelle, and their amazing family live right next door to me. We actually share a fence line, which we like to think that we might open up someday and just keep our yards open together. A few years ago, I was actually going to gear up for my Shark Tank debut, and I had heard that Daniel Lubetzky had bought the house next to me, and I was so excited, and I thought maybe he could give this baby shark some words of wisdom. So I had a friend connect us, and I called Daniel, and generously, he took 45 minutes of his time offering me invaluable advice based on his own time on the show, and I quickly realized in that 45-minute conversation he was going to be a friend for life. He's not just a neighbor that I call up for a cup of sugar or, rosemary if in their garden. They've got some rosemary, I think. I stole it a few times, Michelle, I'm sorry. But also one that I can turn to for business insights, and many times I have. And he always does this with a smile on his face. I know how busy he is, but he picks up the phone and he gives his time, genuinely gives his time. And I've seen him do this, not just with me, but every single person that he encounters. Daniel is somebody that engages fully with everyone, literally everyone, making every interaction meaningful. And I consider myself incredibly lucky to have him as my mentor, my friend, and my neighbor. But the truth is, he treats everyone like his neighbor. You see, Daniel's journey is one marked by relentless pursuit of one thing, and that is goodness. Through his unwavering dedication, he has shown us that the power of one individual, driven by deep sense of empathy, can indeed transform communities and beyond. Daniel's vision is realized through the creation of Kind, which exemplifies this ethos. He understands that business can be a powerful tool for positive change. And thankfully, as his neighbor, I get to test out new products. The ice cream bars, I got them first, folks, and they are amazing. But he doesn't just think about the products, about nourishing the body and soul. He's pioneered of movement that has redefined the very essence of snacking. Kind offers more than just a delicious treat, though it is very, very delicious. It also encourages all to make the world a little kinder, one act at a time. Kind grew out of Daniel's earlier, not only for profit venture, Peaceworks, which used business forces to bring together neighbors in conflict regions, incentivizing cooperation through trading and sharing of profits. Through his nonprofit and civic ventures, Daniel continues to give voice and agency to the vast majority of people around the world who seek to replace division and destruction with unity, building, and problem solving. And if you ask me, the world needs us now more than ever. Daniel, I am so lucky to call you a friend, and I'm honored to be here tonight witnessing your induction into the Texas Business Hall of Fame. Everyone, please join me in extending a warm welcome to a pure pioneer, advocate for positive change, and my friend, Daniel Lubetzky.
Thank you, guys. So as Kendra shared with you, she's not just my fellow shark, but my neighbor, and I'm going to out her with a story. That time when she said I gave her advice, she also said, could you please do me a favor and carry my pair of pants for me because they haven't been ready. So I'm like, no problem. So I picked up her dry cleaning and I brought it with me on the plane. And it was a transparent, dry cleaning bag, so you could see through it this beautiful group. What would you call it? Mint. She calls it mint green. I say pastel green, intense, beautiful pastel green, very wide pants. And I was carrying them, and a couple of my team members joined me on the plane. They're like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, the wardrobe consultant at Shark Tank told me that maybe my eyes would really, really come out if I wore this. And they're like, are you sure? Like, I don't know that that's a good idea. I'm like, well, that was a conversation I had with a wardrobe consultant, and she thinks we need to break these assumptions that men need to wear, dark suits, that we can really, really shake it up. It's going to really be fun. My team members were like mortified. Fortunately, because it was the pandemic times, I was wearing a face mask, so they couldn't see that I was laughing like crazy. When we arrived, I finally gave Kendra her pants, and my team, they started breathing again. But most important, Kendra is not only extraordinarily smart and kind and just super impressive, she can also pull off wearing these green flare pants on national television and look amazing. And for that, I'm truly in awe of you, Kendra. She really is an incredible entrepreneur, and I've loved learning from her. We love exchanging conversations and strategies, and she's an extraordinary entrepreneur, and I'm very proud to count her as a friend. Her and Thomas. By the way, they just had 8 puppies, so if anybody wants to come see them, no pressure. I'll let you in through our gate, and you can come see the puppies.
It was an accident.
Ours is also pregnant, so in a month you can come see ours. I want to thank, first and foremost, my mom, my brother, my wife, and my kids who are all here visiting, who are here on the table with me. In the life of an entrepreneur, you go through high highs and low lows, and my kids probably don't realize the way they and Michelle, my wife, helped me get through the toughest times when things are not going the way I like, the way they give you unconditional love. It's probably the most important value that an entrepreneur can get, is just get love from their loved ones. I want to thank the Texas Business Hall of Fame for this honor. What made me very enthusiastic about this organization is that it's not just about what you've achieved, but how you've achieved it. It's about how you're giving back. It's about what you do with that success. And it's about the integrity, the honor, the values of the journey of how you get there. And you witness tonight a number of moments of extraordinary decency. And it just reminds me why I love Texas and when I appreciate the authentic, basic decency of Texans. We're living through a very, very tough time as a confused Mexican Jew. Well, that's tough anyway all the time. But you see the horrible acts of anti-Semitism that have taken over our world and our country. You see the suffering of Israelis and Palestinians, friends of mine that I've been working for 30 years. You see the pain of Jews, Muslims, Christians, all people in the region that are suffering so much. And I think it's really important for us to remember that we need to unite as builders. People that deny the humanity of the other side and who mobilize to hit and hurt others, they're destroyers. The overwhelming majority of us are moderates, but we need to be builders. It's not enough to be moderates. We need to bring light onto the world together, and then that way is how we're going to extinguish hate and overcome it. Thank you. Tonight I want to share a story about honor that I've never shared before. For me, what's amazing about the United States is the system with rule of law, democracy, freedom, kindness, civility, and one of the most amazing secret weapons of the American system is the honor code. When I immigrated when I was 16 years old, even though I was a sophomore, I could barely speak Spanish. Probably my English class didn't help that much anyway. But back then it was even worse. And I had to take English and US history, even though they were freshman courses. I wasn't very studious, but there was one class I loved, US history. Our teacher, Mr. Carl Hansen, knew how to make it interesting. I just loved learning from him. I thought we had a very positive connection. I felt he was very proud of me and my contributions. He encouraged me. And unfortunately, that year I had a very serious back problem that kept me away from school. And I had to take, exams, makeup exams. And Mr. Hansen explained that I was going to take the exam outside the classroom in the hallway while he was teaching the kids inside the school, inside the classroom. Our school had an honor code. I didn't really know what that meant, but I sat out on the hallway. I started taking my exam. It was probably not very difficult. I had a pretty good memory, and I probably filled up the answers very quickly. But I was out in the hallway by myself with my seat, with my backpack, with my US history book right there. And I just felt the temptation to check if my answers were right or wrong. And so I opened the book to check, and just as I opened the book, I looked up, and Mr. Hansen came out. And he looked at me, and his heart was broken. I could tell how much I had hurt him, how much I had disappointed him. And he was very gentle with me. He, I think, was embarrassed on my behalf, and he said, "Daniel, this is not an open book test." And he gently closed the book and put it away. He said, "You don't really need this, Daniel." He could have failed me that minute. He could have reprimanded me, but he decided to give me another chance. But what he could not do is help me regain my honor, my own opinion about myself. I felt so guilty. I had betrayed this man who was just the kindest human being, who was the most patient teacher. In that moment, I learned the meaning of an honor code. I learned the importance of not disappointing others or myself by taking shortcuts in life. The honor code and integrity are kind of the Jewish concept of being a mensch. Being a mensch is being a person that does the right thing even when nobody's watching. I've never shared this story until tonight. Over the years, I've been meaning to try to reach out to Mr. Hansen and let him know how much of an enormous impact he had on me. When I learned that we were going to hold this event in San Antonio, I asked my team to help me track Mr. Hansen down. And we invited him tonight as our guest of honor with his wife, Linda, and he's sitting right there in the table. I hadn't told him this story. He honestly said, "Mr. Hansen, do you remember me?" He's like, eh. Which is all the more important because think about the impact he had on thousands of kids like me, and without even realizing the extraordinary impact he had. Behind every amazing entrepreneur in this room tonight, there's a teacher or teachers who help make our success happen and who will never know the important part they played in shaping them as a leader. So, Mr. Hansen, the Texas Business Hall of Fame would like to award you a medal tonight in honor of all of those teachers. If you could stand and let the audience recognize you and allow the Hall of Fame's former chairman, John Karp, to place that medal on your neck tonight. Now you better remember me, Mr. Hansen. Please make sure that you reach out to your Mr. Hansens in your life to thank them. Thank you and have a great evening.